So I am back from my holidays, and apart from the fact that this weather is absolutely diabolically awful, I'm actually quite excited to be back rested and revitalised for the latter half of this year now. It was quite a struggle for me to give myself permission to have some time off. Anyone who, for any of you that don't know, I've been on this journey of being self employed for 2 years now, and I haven't had a single break in that time. And I think that's one of the difficulties of running your own business and being self-employed, is that you kind of end up putting your heart and soul into the business. You don't feel like you can ever really take time out, and you just have to juggle and juggle until you reach a point where it's okay to kind of down tools, and you need to give yourself permission to take that time off. So I feel quite privileged in a way that only 2 years into my business I've been able to do that. And I said in my last video that I was feeling quite fidgety about it. And I did feel quite fidgety for the first day or so, and then obviously like relaxed into it really, really well. And it was absolutely fantastic to just spend some time with my children and my husband and my friends, and really just kind of chill out. But it makes me wonder about, self-care. And I'm always talking about self-care and how you need to be looking after yourself, and how you need to be giving yourself, prioritizing yourself a little bit. I think as working mothers, we are really good at prioritizing everybody else, not always putting our own needs first, and not always caring for ourselves as much as we should do. And I do practice a lot of self-care. I exercise a lot. I exercise daily. I meditate, and I spend time with my children, and I speak to my friends, and I do the things that I think are important to me. But I'm not very good, as I've said, at necessarily putting in strict boundaries around my time. And I do find that any spare minute that I have, I will be working, if I'm not working in my business, on my business, which is great. Like, don't get me wrong. It's I have a job that I absolutely love. Like, genuinely, I've got the best job in the world. So I don't have any problem in working on my business as well as in my business. But it does remind me that I think having to work so hard to give myself permission to take that week off wasn't it wasn't that I didn't want to. It's just that my brain is just constantly turning and churning. And I think I've developed this kind of like nervous energy in a way that I feel like I need to be doing something. And if I'm not doing something, it kind of makes me feel a little bit guilty. And I wonder how many of you relate to that. I wonder how many of you actually can just sit down and, read a book or watch trashy telly, or just do something that is completely pointless. Because I spend as much time as I can with the kids doing stuff, going to the park, taking them out. Obviously it's been really difficult over lockdown because we haven't really had that much opportunity to do the things that we want to do. But when we're not in lockdown, I do as much as I possibly can with them. But so in a way, I consider going to the park time out, which it is time out in a way, but it's still mummy duty. You're still kind of like on call. Whereas sitting down and watching TV, or just, doing something completely idle, just feels incredibly out of character these days. And I don't know whether that's just something that has just happened over the years, or whether that's something that just happens to mums. Not even necessarily working mums, but well, I mean, I relate more to working mums because I'm obviously a working mum and my clients are working mums and my friends are working mums and, you know, my mum was a working mum and that's just what we do. So how do you feel about being idle? Or rather, how do you feel about putting boundaries around you to help you create space for yourself? Because like I said, like self-care is about exercising, is about being healthy, is about being fit, is about doing the things that you want to do. So my idea of doing a yoga workout or going for a run or whatever it is I feel like doing is self-care, because that's time looking after my mind and my body, but it's not exactly restful. So maybe the concept of being restful is what I find challenging. That probably makes more sense, actually. So what do you do that's restful? And do you do enough that is restful? And what do you need to do more that will be restful? And is that something that you would be prepared to put in your diary weekly? Or is that something that only happens a couple of times a year when you go on holiday? I don't know. There's no right or wrong to it. It's just a little thought that I've had, really, about being wriggly and not restful, and definitely needing more restful times in my life. So I'm going to work on being restful. What are you going to work on being next?